Michael Gomez, and I'm here to talk about the truth about our justice system. Now, to some degree, imprisoning people is a necessary evil. Of course, you want to stop other people from committing crimes, and of course, you want to punish those like rapists, like thieves, and like murderers. However, our justice system is completely biased, and it is all about money, and it has nothing to do with morality. In recent years, you've seen an explosion of private institutions. Now, ask yourself this question: why do these institutions exist? To make money. In fact, you have a group known as the GOE Group, which is publicly traded, mind you, and they exist to put people in prison to make profits, and some of their leaders have made millions upon millions of dollars per year. In fact, they have been known to work with states to ensure that prisons are filled to capacity. Therefore, most of the people that are in jail right now are only there for private and corporate investment as opposed to stopping crime. Now, we do know that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but there is a very special clause in there. Slavery is perfectly legal as long as somebody has been convicted of a crime. In essence, imprisoning people is modern day slavery. It is free labor, and this is how companies make their profits. At least that's one of the ways they make their profits. They also make profits through investments. As mentioned before, you have companies like Fidelity that pumps in money to these prison systems. The majority of the public needs to understand that most of the people who are in prison right now are only there, A, to fill a status quota, and B, to bring more profits to the people who invest in these companies. This is why you have people who commit minor offenses yet have done an extreme amount of jail time. Extreme considering the small and minor crimes that they have committed. Let's talk about the famous case in Texas, okay? The famous affluenza case. So a young man gets completely toasted, completely drunk. He steals from a store even though his family is pretty well off. He then goes on and kills 6 people. And guess what happened? He did not go to prison at all. In fact, he couldn't even stay 10 years on probation. It's that bad. Yet somebody's in jail right now for 15, 20 years for a little minor offense like having a little bit of cocaine. Here's the situation here. People like to say, well, drugs are the worst thing ever because they destroy lives. That is true to an extent. But remember, when somebody uses drugs, they use drugs in their own free will. This kid in Texas, however, he killed 6 people. He didn't give these people a chance to live at all. He took away their lives. He destroyed their families. And it looked like he didn't even care that he did it. And did he get into any jail time whatsoever? No, because he comes from a wealthy family. So we do know that companies like the Florida-based GEO Group is publicly traded on the stock market. But what people need to also understand is that private 401k companies like Vanguard and Fidelity also has its hand in the prison system, and it also has its hand in the suffering of other people for profits. So before anybody wants to play the moral high ground, understand that a lot of people that support companies like Vanguard, a lot of people that support companies like Fidelity are the same people who support the pain and the suffering of others, all for profit. So hypothetically speaking, just think about this for a moment. Like I said, a lot of these businesses often lobby to get more people in prison. So imagine if there was less crime in the world. Imagine if everyone says, you know what? I'm no longer going to use drugs. I'm no longer going to kidnap. I'm no longer going to do anything evil. That sounds great, right? It sounds amazing. The world would be a better place. But imagine the billions upon billions of dollars that some big name people would lose. That would be a lot. And this is why we have the modern day prison system. I can't repeat this enough. It's all about money and not morality. Here's another question. Isn't it kind of weird that people are out there saying, well, you know what? We should imprison people so that society can become a better place. Yet music like hip hop actually encourages robbery, encourages drug dealing, and encourages an overall criminal lifestyle. Just think about that for 1 second. Criminal behavior is oftentimes encouraged so that more people can go to jail, so therefore more profits can be made. In fact, there are people who are in prison that shouldn't be in prison. Not only people who suffer from substance abuse issues, but also people who are mentally ill. These are people that should receive treatment, not punishment. If you don't want people using drugs, if you don't want people going out there robbing, then don't promote people who promote these kind of ideals and these ideologies, like Chicago rappers, for example. They've played a big role in increasing the crime rate in Chicago because they have a major influence on the kids that listen to their music. Every single day we're seeing violence promoted on television, on social media, and pretty much every day in a child's life. So how can you tell a child to not go out there and commit a crime when their heroes are basically people who get famous off of doing drugs and committed violent acts? Mass shootings are horrendous. It results in the loss of life. It results in people having their families impacted, their societies impacted, and it's completely disgusting. But we have to bear in mind that oftentimes shooters are glorified. Murderers are sometimes glorified. In fact, there are murderers who have their own TV shows. And if you read the manifestos of people who have committed mass shootings, they have said it themselves, that they were completely influenced by others who have committed mass shootings. More importantly, they were completely influenced by the love and the attention that these people got for committing heinous acts. There is a thin line between reporting circumstances and glorifying despicable and violent behavior. In conclusion, to all my people out there, to everybody that wakes up early in the morning, to everybody that has to work a job that they really don't want to work in order to make ends meet, remember one thing: a lot of these prisons are also paid for by what? By tax dollars. You yourself are paying for this. You yourself are paying for a system that someone else is making billions of dollars on. Is it really fair to the American people? Absolutely not. And I also want to mention one more thing. I am not against imprisoning criminals. I am not against taking bad people out of society. What I am against is imprisoning people that shouldn't be in prison, all for profits. This is Michael Gomez. Thank you for watching Mike's World. I'll see you soon.